Okay, so welcome to this class on Solana Transactions. The idea is to explain simple all these concepts using mind maps and graphics, okay? So let's see what are Solana Transactions. Solana Transactions are composed of signatures and a message. The message is composed of a header, account addresses, recent block hash, and instructions. So the signature is the sender identity authorizing the transaction. Then the message is composed of instructions that are atomic programs executed in order. If one instruction fails, the whole transaction fails. Then the account addresses, all accounts that are going to be touched, ordered by signer, and mutability roles. The header counts the signers if they are writable, read-only, and accounts this for parallel scheduling, so it's faster and it blocks the accounts that are going to use, so there is not a double operation. And the recent block hash. The recent block hash must be a 32-byte hash from a block and less than 2 minutes old. The program address. Which on-chain program will run these instructions, and the account's meta custom encoded parameters passed into the program logic. So as we see, transaction is conformed by a signatures and a transaction message. The header will include all the signer signatures, then the account addresses, a list of accounts, wallets, program IDs, and PDAs. The instructions will read or write with order encoding signer read-only writable roles. The recent block hash, the instructions that are 1 to 15 instructions. Inside each instruction, you will have a program address, the array of accounts, public is signer, is writable, and the data. Binary, you decide, for example, transfer one soul. Okay, so now let's explain what's an RPC. The idea is that you, as a client or developer, you want to interact and make transactions with the Solana ecosystem. So the way it works, you have a leader, and the leader will distribute the work and the voting power to validators that are servers that will process the Solana transactions in a decentralized way, okay? So Solana RPCs, core concepts. The RPC nodes are dedicated servers answering Solana queries, separate from consensus. The local cluster, you can run this for test and validating, is for private development, okay? So you can, for example, create a local cluster and you can airdrop yourself with 1000 Sol and you can process transactions, for example, minting 1 million CNFTs, okay? So to see how much will cost, and you can play with this data before going live. Free RPC endpoints, great for demos, limited scale, and reliability. Cache expensive queries. Repeated RPC calls can waste bandwidth and money. Private RPCs, paid autoscaling endpoints ensuring performance with custom rate limits. So when you are going to go live and you have a great application, it's recommended that you get a private RPC, for example, Elius, QuickNode, etc. Rate limits exist, so optimize requests or risk throttling and bans. Backend required. Avoid client wallets spamming directly on RPCs, okay? Solana RPCs versus validators versus leaders. The validators are nodes that participate in the Solana consensus mechanism, validating and confirming blocks. They are responsible for producing blocks. They vote on the validity of blocks proposed by the leader. The leader validator is a specific type of validator that is selected to produce blocks at a particular slot as a part of the consensus process and is responsible for creating and proposing new blocks. RPC nodes, known as remote procedural call nodes, are non-voting validators that provide access to Solana blockchain for applications and users. They do not participate in the consensus mechanism but provide data and transaction processing services. Transaction versions and tools. So there are two versions, the legacy version and the V0 version. So let's see what is the legacy version. It's the original unversioned Solana format that lists all accounts, max 32 accounts, no address lookup, tables, still valid for simple transfers and swaps. The version 0 is the first versioned format with byte equals 0, can reference address lookup tables, letting you exceed 32 accounts, and shrink wire size, forward compatible with body layout. And the Solana Kit is an NPM TypeScript package for JavaScript SDK that builds and serializes both legacy and V0 transactions. It's a developer tool, not a separate on-chain format, okay? How to create a transaction: you first serialize, then you sign the transaction, then you send. So first you serialize. So you bundle all the transactions, detail instruction accounts, recent blockage into a tiny fixed binary format. Then you sign the transaction. So you use your wallet's private key, your cryptographic signature over the serialized data. Then you send the transaction, you broadcast the signed transaction to a Solana node with send transaction or similar, okay? Okay, so these are the core concepts of making transaction work. You will need compute units and priority fees. So the idea is that a compute unit is a gas meter. Every on-chain instruction, reading an account, doing math, verifying a signature burns a fixed number of compute units. Simple transfers use a few hundred. Heavy smart contract calls can use to 1.4 million compute units. So you can set compute units, you can run a simulation, or you can first run the transaction on DevNet and get the approximate transaction compute units for each instruction. Priority fees: you can add tip priced in microlamp ports. The priority fee is the compute unit times compute unit price. Validator keep this tip, so the higher you price, the sooner your transaction pay 0 and you wait your turn. Gito validators is a fork of the standard validator that is using a lot of nodes of validators, and the idea is that it captures MEV, arbitrage, and liquidations, shares that add an extra revenue with its stakers, and still processes ordinary transactions. So you can use Gito to pay fees and get the transaction on chain. You can set priority fees, okay? These are the idea. If you don't send priority fees because of the network can be congested, you cannot land your transaction on mainnet, okay? So thank you for seeing this video, and let's continue.